Native advertising is a top of the funnel traffic source. But today in this video, we will take a holistic look about digital marketing in general and the role of native advertising in your digital marketing strategy. Hi everyone, my name is Marcel Sattler. I'm the founder of PurpleBlack, a native advertising only agency. What we're doing on a daily basis is we run profitable native advertising campaigns on traffic sources like Taboola, Outbrain, Yahoo, Gemini, and many more. And as a native agency, we do nothing but native. So that means we don't do Google, we don't do Facebook or stuff like that. We really hyper-focused on native advertising as a traffic channel. And usually our clients with some higher budgets, they're using multiple traffic sources, which is absolutely fine. And I can share with you today in this video a little bit of my personal learnings in the past couple of years, in the past 10 years to be honest. In the past 10 years about native advertising, the role of native advertising, and which combination of different traffic sources makes sense. Please note, we always take a look from a performance perspective. So that means at the end of the day, after all costs like agency costs, like shipping costs and that kind of stuff, it has to be profitable for you. So each client acquisition has to be positive. That's the way how we look on client acquisition in general. And that's also the way how we calculate things, how we think in our agency, for example. Everything is performance driven. We don't care about some Facebook likes or that kind of stuff, not because we're just not doing Facebook ads, but in general, we don't just like impression campaigns. We do the performance stuff and it has to be profitable. Long story short, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense? Native advertising in general is a top of the funnel channel. So with native ads, either if it is Taboola or Outbrain, you will have a lot of reach out there. So a lot of people will get impressions about your ads. So the CPMs on native are way cheaper than on every other platform. The good news is for native, you can reach people which you will be unable to reach with traffic sources like TikTok, like Meta, like Facebook, Instagram, and that kind of stuff. Because those kind of people sometimes doesn't have a Meta account or are not using TikTok. So therefore, native advertising could be the one and only channel you can reach exactly these people. However, it's important to understand that when you do it correctly, due to the lower CPM, a lot of people will see your ads. That's in general positive. And on the same hand side, when you start your native advertising campaign, a lot of people will Google your brand. So they will just type your brand name, product name, whatever, into Google. And usually you should run, and we also recommend this for our clients, for example, usually you should run also a lot of different campaigns additionally to native ads. So for example, on Google, you should run at least a branding campaign. When someone is Googling your brand name or your product name, that you are on position number 1, because sooner or later, automatically a lot of people will start Googling your brand, especially when we're using higher budgets on native. So let's take a look into funnel. And it's a little bit unpositive for us as a native agency because the conversion will be tracked for Google. Let me explain you why. Because usually when someone is seeing your ads and they will Google the product name or the brand name, and then they're clicking on a brand ad, for example. And Google will, and they do the conversion because they maybe read the editorial and that kind of stuff, and they will do the conversion via the last click from Google. So what happens now? Google will take the conversion and say, hey, that's great. That's our conversion. It's a Google conversion. In this perspective, of course, it's correct. But the initial point was driven by native ads, in this case, Taboola or Outbrain, for example. And you see here, it's very difficult to count this conversion because on which side you will count it. Will you count it on native, which was the initial driver for this conversion, or will you count it for Google, which was the last click in this case? Usually, you see it's very hard to decide here on which side you should attribute this conversion. And therefore it never makes sense just to use straight or just to take a look straight on one traffic source. Because usually nowadays, at least, or in general, when you spend more budget, and I don't speak from 200 euros or US dollar per day, I mean really huger budgets, then you don't know exactly where to attribute all those conversions. It's more important that everything together is profitable. So it doesn't make sense just to pinpoint one traffic source, for example, native ads, and double check how positive it is or try to squeeze out the performance on every site. Of course we do this because we just take a look on native ads. We want to squeeze out the performance here. But the important thing what I want to say for you as a brand owner is that everything all together has to be positive and profitable for you. And it's like with a Swiss watch. When you have it, there are a lot of gears inside, you know? And when you just stop one gear, it's usually not working anymore. And here it's the same. For this sample, which I told you a few seconds before, you need, for example, Google to be the #1 in the Google search results. Of course, Google is important, but of course also native ads was very important for this conversion in this sample. Or another sample, what we see very often is initial native ads, people click on the advertorial, read the advertorial, but didn't get through the conversion yet. And then they get a retargeting campaign from Facebook, for example. And by the way, usually we saw that native ads in combination with retargeting on Facebook is working excellent together. However, then the conversion came through this campaign on Facebook, which is the retargeting campaign. Of course, Facebook will attribute this conversion for themselves. And maybe you're saying now, okay, I have a solution, I have a third-party tracking tool like Triple Whale or however they are named. And also here it's very important to see very precisely where the users are coming from, because some of those tools are working with UTM parameters. And as soon as you're using, for example, an ad blocker, which is very common for desktop traffic, and in native you have a lot of desktop traffic. So when they're using an ad blocker, usually every better ad blocker will also delete the UTM params. And then your tracking solution, which you paid thousands of dollars every month, isn't working anymore. So in this particular case, they just can attribute the last click, which might be Google or the Facebook retargeting campaign, but it's not the 100% clear view about the whole funnel in a holistic way. Therefore, long story short, it's always important to see the whole funnel, to understand where the first touch points are coming from. And from my experience in the last 10 years, a huge amount of first impressions are coming from native. And not just the first impressions, but also the further impressions, because native is the traffic source where people get into your funnel. They see the ad, they read the advertorial, and they don't feel advertised. That's the huge benefit in native advertising, because people actively clicking into a topic which they're interested in. And that's the huge difference also between, for example, YouTube ads, because you get advertised and you want to get rid of them, buying YouTube Premium or downloading some add-ons to block that kind of stuff. And on native, people are actively clicking into a topic and they don't even understand that they get advertised. So that's the huge difference. And that's also the thing, for example, when you do a survey at the end of your or on your thank you page, and we saw it already in the past. Some of our clients did a survey on the thank you page and how you will name native ads. You know, you can name it from internet, from magazines, from blog articles and that kind of stuff. But due to the fact that it's a sneaky method, that native ads are ads that are not looking like ads, people will not recognize where they saw your brand the first time. Therefore, also those kind of post surveys are not working with native ads. And fun fact, in this case, we have had a own shop in the past where we run a post-purchase survey, and we just run native ads, native advertising traffic on this store. But you know, almost everyone clicked on something different. Like I saw it on YouTube, I saw it on Facebook, but that's impossible because we just run native advertising traffic to this store. So long story short, sometimes you cannot trust or you cannot believe your clients. But long story short, it's more important to understand the holistic view and also understand that every traffic source has a specific reason. And also native advertising in combination with a lot of other traffic sources like Google, like Facebook, makes sense to make it everywhere profitable. And that's the way how you should run your profitable brand in a world of digital marketing in 2023. So always when you say, okay, I want to add native as a top of a funnel, then as a top of a funnel traffic source, then of course native could make sense. But you always have to understand that native plus Google plus Facebook and that kind of stuff make usually more sense than just focusing on only one traffic source. I hope you liked that video. If so, I would extremely appreciate if you give me a thumbs up. And of course, when you subscribe to my channel to receive updates when I upload a new video here on YouTube about native advertising. Have a good one. See you next time.